Hi, I'm Paritosh Joshi. I am CEO of India TV.
Mr. Joshi, thank you so much for joining us. In the inaugural session, the minister said that he's not very happy with the kind of rating system which India has. Why would you imagine that he'd want to make this point at such an event?
I think television measurement has significant impact on the way that content gets created and distributed. And the interest that governments and politicians have in television measurement is that in their mind somehow measurements steer the entire television content story. So they believe, for instance, that the way that content has become sleazy, or at least in their sense it has become more sleazy or coarse or sensationalist or tabloidy, particularly news content, has something to do with television measurement. And therefore they believe that if you have better measurement in some sense, then maybe these ill effects can be gotten rid of. Now, in principle, the idea that measurement must keep improving is something that I can absolutely happily endorse. Again, the other thing which I believe he said, I was not there at the session, was that do we have enough meters, enough homes that are metered?
Right.
He
spoke
of a
sample
few
size.
hundred,
he spoke about
several hundred. It's not several
size.
hundred. As it happens, we already have in excess of 20,000 metered homes, going to 30,000 this year. So it's not several hundred. It is several thousand. In fact, several tens of thousands. And there is stipulations made by guidelines issued by the ministry, which require the number of metered homes to go to 50,000 over a period of 3 years, and we are on that path. Is 50,000 enough? In a statistical sense, 20,000 is also enough, and 30 is enough, and 40 is enough, and the more you have, the less the error you will have. But all of this comes at a cost. All of this involves an investment. And the joint industry body is a not-for-profit body, which means to say that money which is put into it by its stakeholders, they will never be able to take it out. It was money put in, and then they have to forget all about it. So therefore, this body needs to find a way that it can become self-sustaining, right, from the revenues that it earns. And it can only charge to a point, right? It cannot become a for-profit kind of entity. So we have to be very cautious about how much money we charge for the services that BARC delivers. So, it's not straightforward. While the spirit of what he says, I think anybody would be happy to endorse. Do we have enough measurement for a country of the size that we are and the number of television homes? I mean, to give you a sense of it, we are well in excess of 160 million television homes out of 240 million all homes. So there are about 70 or 80 million homes in India which don't have a TV yet. But we are closing that gap. Each year, India adds something like 10 million new television homes, right? This is also a very important indicator of the way that India's economic prosperity is flowing down to more and more people. So when people have the money, one of the things that they invest in is a television. And in my time in TV, in the last 11 years that I have been in TV, when I started, we were about 70 million television homes. Today we are at 160 million, right? We've added 90 million TV homes over the last 10 years. So these are good times for TV, but measurement means that as TV expands and reaches deeper and deeper into the hinterland, we will need to grow to capture all of that viewing, and that's what our promise is. BARC stands specifically for measuring that which India watches. That's what we are about.
Okay, two things that perhaps need to change as far as TV ratings are concerned.
Actually, it's not so much about TV ratings needing to change, it is about the manner in which TV ratings get used which needs to change. The problem is there is a great deal of misunderstanding about how do you use the numbers that get generated. And the problems arise because people don't understand that these are statistical numbers. So if we are measuring a channel like a Colors or a Star Plus, our errors are small because the number of people viewing it, or a Sun TV or an Inadu, the number of people viewing it are tens of million or even hundreds of million. But when you come to a channel like an English news channel, there are not even 1 million people viewing it, right? So to find those people who view these kind of highly specialized, very tiny genres is difficult. So the panel needs to work very hard to be able to find these people. And then when you project them up to the entire population, the numbers that you get are still very small. But the relative error in this estimate, the statistical estimate, is much less accurate than the estimate for a star plus or an estimate for a sun, right? Now, when people over slice these numbers, you are actually producing junk, right? And you're trying to read meaning into that junk, but it doesn't mean anything. People think that, you know, content happens because of ratings, and therefore ratings are to blame if content is going bad. Listen, we are the messenger. You can't blame the messenger for the message.
One reason why ratings will remain relevant then?
Ratings will always remain relevant. For the simple reason that, you know, people need to understand how their content is actually working. So in a sense, we are an ongoing postmortem. Of course, there is the entire advertising business which functions only because ratings exist. You can't do television advertising if there were no ratings. But even as a content person needs to keep, you know, fine-tuning the content that they are producing.
This year, Ficci Frame's theme is change or perish. What do you think will perish?
If we don't keep pace, right? In this new world of always connected, always willing to be entertained, more digital, more mobile devices, some of us will lose our way. That's how life is.